Race war. Whose team are you on? Black people or white people?
Is there a race war? Did I miss it?
Take my vitamins every morning. Usually I can take the whole handful at once. Yeah, I'm that good. Usually I can take the whole handful at once.
The definition of white fragility is the disgust coming from his eyes.
Oh, well, who's this lady?
Candy.
Candy.
She loves people.
What's up, Candy?
Over the course of 400 years, black people and their allies are being most American as they protest, riot, and loot.
I don't care if somebody decides to loot a Gucci.
Just be grateful that they've left out the killing.
Or a Macy's.
Left out the killing.
Or a Nike, because that makes sure that that person eats. That makes sure that that person has clothes.
Black Lives Matter Chicago rallied in support of people who looted and are locked up.
Just be grateful that they've left out the killing.
As though they're these pure-hearted humanitarians who are so deeply concerned about Afghan women and girls. I'm sure they'll be leading the charge.
There's a whole generation of women and girls who are now getting their first glimpse of what life under the Taliban is like.
My thing is education for liberation. And so education for liberation.
I like that.
Yeah.
She knew how to get to the people who could get a light bulb changed.
He doesn't get a pass because I can't stop thinking.
The police could recognize that, look, black people call the police more than any other group.
And she just started punching my baby and punching him and punching him. And nobody tried to stop.
Actually bit her forehead, leaving deep wounds. She says he tried to bite her eye out. Others kicked her.
Cut to the chase. I don't believe black identity extremists exists. And I believe that the FBI should retract the document and should send out a document throughout law enforcement saying that black identity extremists do not exist.
I don't want to say we need to go start killing all white folks, but it's like, but maybe.
You said, I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way.
Give black people their rights, or we will burn this country to ashes.
This is Hawk Newsom. He's the chairman of the BLM Greater New York chapter. He spent last summer protesting against police brutality. But he wanted to take it a step further. So he co-founded Black Opportunities, or Black Ops.
Burying their body and wiping bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless with a bounce in my step. Like I did the world an effing favor. That type of feeling, first of all, what creates that type of feeling?
Do I buy a gun? Or not? I don't want to buy a gun. You know, but you feel,
Okay, Gloria, we're gonna have to talk about this gun thing offline.
Okay.
We are out of time.
Hate crime bills. One is called the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act.
You're not going to know that the police officers, and we're going to see if somebody is going to look to harm somebody through hate.
Just be grateful that they've left out the killing.
Anything they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance.
They did not just emerge over the past 4 years, such as Black Lives Matter.
This morning, part 2 of our investigation into diversity at the FBI.
How are you going to respond to people who just say, this is sour grapes?
If they think this is sour grapes, then they don't understand what's going on. Because if we don't look like the community we serve, how can that community trust us?
And we won't ignore what our intelligence agencies have determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism.
2 former agents tell us it's so important for the FBI to have a diverse workforce.
If we don't look like the community we serve, how can that community trust us?
Imran Ahmed is the CEO at the Center for Countering Digital Hate.
He and his team have been studying the spread of COVID misinformation online. He calls them the disinformation dozen.
Who are these people? So these are the 12 super producers of disinformation.
This is a simple, basic proposition. If you're vaccinated, you're not going to be hospitalized, you're not going to be in an ICU unit, and you're not going to die.
New York City is calling on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to de-platform the disinformation dozen.
From these companies. And if the medical school does something that the company doesn't like, the company stops giving it business. They're concerned with how to get the social media to censor. This is what they're all talking about in October of 2019.
Kick them off your sites right now completely.
It's so important for the FBI to have a diverse workforce.
The FBI is committed to combating hate crime.
I am Leila. I work as a content developer. We develop videos, infographics, and motion graphics to combat extremist content.
White supremacy is a growing global threat, and nowhere more than in America.
Police searching for a man who fired 2 rounds into a Jackson Heights apartment. It all follows a violent weekend which saw 13 shootings involving 20 victims. Mayor de Blasio and public advocate Jumaane Williams have now announced a pilot program to pair mentors with youth at risk for gun violence.
Teens on East 86th Street. The firefighter suffered a concussion and broken teeth. Police are still looking for the other 5 kids.
St. Barnabas Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead.
But that seemed to mystify them.
Where their daughter was shot and killed. Now, it happened while she attended a vigil for a friend who was killed the night before.
I don't want to say we need to go start killing all white folks, but it's like, but maybe.
Like much of the country, New York State is finding it difficult to attract people to become volunteer firefighters at a time they're needed more than ever.
Wendy Wright gives us an inside look at what the training recruits go through as she explores the reason behind the shortage.
This would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. And we're looking at that very carefully.
And she says, oh, my dog won't come to you. Well, what she didn't know is I carry dog treats.
Why is that funny?
The FBI is committed to combating hate crime.
The job of the Department of Defense is to keep America safe from our enemies. But we can't do that if some of those enemies lie within our own ranks.
White supremacist attacks that were clearly domestic terrorism. Experts
having the first black president, Barack Obama, having the first black vice president and vice president of South Asian descent. I think sometimes people forget that there's a deficit now in the Senate. As diverse as Congress is right now, there's no black women in the Senate.
Seeking justice and providing assistance to victims. Victim services personnel work with special agents to offer victim support and information about available services and programs. If you've been a victim or witness to a hate crime, call 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. Protecting our communities. Together, report hate crimes.
And that, you know, we are in a war that we didn't start.
Right.
And I feel like black people, when they walk out their door, they go to war every day.
Yeah.
And they have to decide, what black person do I want to show up as this morning? Do I want to be MLK?
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men.
Do I want to be MLK? Do I want to be Malcolm X?
Shows a man walking up 3rd Avenue, suddenly shoving a 92-year-old woman.
She loses her balance, falling to the ground, hitting her head on a fire hydrant.
Just be grateful that they've left out the killing.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
She's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, she needs to be in another house. Yeah, I know. And I told her to her face she's crazy.